everybody. Welcome inside the CrossFit Update Studios. I'm Sean Woodland with Tommy Marquez and Pat Sherwood as we continue to wrap up the year that was 2016 in the CrossFit Games season. We turn our attention today to the regionals and talk about our top memories from that time of year. It's 3 weeks that are really busy for us, but it is a blast to sit there and watch all the drama that plays out in those 3 weekends.
Well, even if you talk to the athletes, they'll tell you that the ferocity of the competition is almost heightened at regionals because you have to get to the games. Yeah. And so if you don't perform well at regionals, your season ends, and you can just see that on the competition floor.
Yeah, and every year, like going off of what Pat said, there's a ton of athletes whose sole goal is just to make it to the games, that regionals is the gateway. So we get to see some really cool programming in terms of like the snatch ladder this year or regional Nate that had strict muscle ups. So I think seeing those athletes being able to attack those types of workouts and evolve overall is just a really cool aspect of the sport that we get to watch a ton of for those 3 weekends.
Let's get into our top memories, and I will kick things off. And of course, I got to go on the broadcast side of things, and we start week number 1, Pacific Regional. Jeremy Austin, the play-by-play man down there in the Pacific Regional. Final event for the men. Con Porter coming into the final event number 7, needing a win to get himself to the CrossFit Games, and Jeremy just nailed it with the call. So let's just take one last listen to that one.
One rope climb. Con Porter's done. Con Porter, you legend. Ticket back to the games.
And it's an event record.
Event record as well.
100 points.
Con Porter, you legend. Just outstanding work by Jeremy Austin. That was a lot of fun to watch. Another memory that from that weekend in the Pacific Regional came courtesy of Cara Webb.
Yeah, arguably my most impressive performance of the entire regional competition was Cara Webb on event number 1. Day 1, weekend 1, event number 1, Cara Webb basically throws down the gauntlet in that snatch ladder, sets the time to beat. It's the only event record from the very first week that stood the entire time at regionals. And it was kind of her MO all season long. It's 16.2 when everybody's kind of playing the weight and post game during the open. She just posted her score right away, said, everybody come get it. Her score stood up in the open. She goes in regional event number 1, does the same thing. There's really kind of a taste of things to come at the games when we had the squat clean pyramid as well. When she comes up and just knocks that one out of the park, gets the event win as well.
Yeah, let's stay international, and the one regional that I was able to go to was the Meridian Regional, and I got to watch firsthand the competition that played out between the top women. I mean, the atmosphere there at the Caja Mágica in Madrid was outstanding, one of the best I've ever been a part of. But when those women were on the floor, it was even elevated just a couple notches. They went to 11, basically, when they were on the floor. I mean, there was not a person sitting down. The atmosphere was fantastic. You had a great battle between Sarah Sigmundsdottir and Annie Thorisdottir all weekend long. Samantha Briggs had some outstanding performances. Turi Helgadottir went on to finish regional Nate. She was, I think, maybe the first or second woman to do it at that point. And then, of course, Kristen Holta consistent all the way through. And it was really a nice preview of what we're going to see at the games. But that, to me, from a competitive standpoint, beginning to end, from the top 5, was probably the best that we saw.
You know, what grabbed my attention was we see a lot of CrossFit.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, now for us to be like, wow, did you see? It has to be something incredible. And that happened with Chandler Smith. This kid earned a spot to compete at the Atlantic Regional, and he was doing well, actually. He was a little bit in the conversation, but then enter event number 5 with the 405-pound deadlifts, and then him and Ben Smith on screen. In all my time watching CrossFit, I've never seen a human being deadlift like that. It looked like they were filled with helium or something. And I mean, he worked that thing with speed and just disrespect.
Right.
And though he didn't earn a spot to the games, he got himself on the radar as such an exciting athlete to watch tons of potential. He's still kind of raw. So I want to see with a little bit more polish, and if his military schedule allows it, I want him to throw down, compete in 2017, and let's see the new version of Smith.
It was hard not to cheer for that guy. Just you'd hear the interviews and you'd watch him on the floor, and I'm with you.
It looked fake. How he deadlifted.
I know, it just did. I thought someone loaded his bar incorrectly, but I really am looking forward to seeing what Chandler can do in 2017. He was a new face, but a couple faces that maybe we've seen in the past. Brent Fikowski's one of them, one of the Canadian men that we saw in regionals. Get to him in a second. But the other Canadian man that we saw in the regionals was not on anyone's radar, and that was Patrick VELLNER, who goes on to finish 3rd at the games.
Yeah, and I was so, I don't know it feels weird saying thankful for Patrick's injury that he had. It's unfortunate that it happened, but really without it, we might have kind of missed him, and he would have flown under the radar, Tia Toomey style, all the way until the games, because it was a situation where Patrick did very well, top 10 worldwide in the Open, but you know what? Usually that doesn't mean anything until you show up and perform at regionals. He does well, but hurts himself in the snatch ladder. Everyone thinks basically your weekend's over because you got strict regional Nate coming up. And you know what? He knocks that out of the park, and that was kind of that moment where, hey, we have a reason to watch you now, whereas we didn't before, and we might not have watched you before because Matt Fraser was just laying waste to the regional. And now, with that attention on him, he just continued to shine, taking the podium at the games, and then having arguably the moment of the competition at the Invitational with his PR clean and jerk as well. It was just a really cool moment that came from otherwise unfortunate situation with a bicep injury.
And I mentioned it was hard to not cheer for Chandler Smith. It was hard to not cheer for Brent Fikowski, given everything that he had been through and all the heartache.
Right.
And finally this year he gets in and he kicked that door down.
I mean, this is a monumental point of the show. 2 Canadians back to back we're talking about it.
Sorry.
His country's making quite a push. Brent Fikowski, if you're a fan of the sport, for years has been trying to get to the CrossFit Games and has just missed it by fractions, literally, on a couple years. He personally felt that his strength was one of the things that held him back. Well, I'll tell you what, in 2016, he answered any of those questions. We had event number 1, the snatch, which got heavy. He took second at his regional. Then event 5, with that 405-pound deadlift, he took third place on that, and boom, we see him go to the games and just barely misses the podium there, takes 4th place. And I'll tell you what, with all the athletes we get to talk to and get to know a little bit before they show up to the games, Brent Fikowski is just different, okay? I'm not saying he's better or worse, but he's a different bird. And I love him because of that. He's entertaining. His answers are unique. You know, he went into like that sensory deprivation tank as part of his mental training. I just heard some things from him that weren't common, and he was exciting to watch, and I just want another year of that.
Those are our top memories from the regional competition. We want to know what yours are. Feel free to post them in the comments section below this video. I'm a ton that I know that we didn't talk about that were just as exciting as the ones that we did choose. When we return next time, we will close things out by taking a look at our top moments from the 2016 Reebok CrossFit Games. Until then, I'm Sean, Tommy Marquez, and Pat Sherwood. We'll see you guys then.